Anthropologist. The word anthropologist means a person who studies human behavior and nature and the development and origins of human society. An anthropologist studies human origins and often studies primates such as monkeys and gorillas. Anthropologists are known for traveling to far-off places and studying communities and cultures that are often unknown to people who live in the so-called developed world. By living with people of another culture, anthropologists are able to get a sense of all aspects of their lives, such as their language, diet, social lives, religions, and myths, and so on. Becoming an anthropologist takes years of study, and the research can be difficult and time-consuming. Anthropologist, a scientist who studies humans.
The word apothegm means a short, wise statement or saying. Benjamin Franklin's writings are famous for their memorable apothegms, such as, "A penny saved is a penny earned." My father didn't give a lot of long-winded advice, but instead tossed out a few apothegms from time to time to help guide us. Judy bought a calendar that included a funny but smart apothegm for each day of the year. Apothegm, a short, wise statement.
Ascertain. The word ascertain means to learn, to find out with certainty, or to discover through investigation. Laura wasn't very good at guessing how much her produce weighed, so she always used the scale to ascertain the weight. She did this not only to figure out the weight, but also to ascertain how much she might be spending. She needed to be certain about the price, because she was on a tight budget these days after losing her job. As far as she could ascertain, she'd run out of money in about 2 months if she didn't find new work. Ascertain, to figure out, to learn, to discover.
The word allude means to suggest or refer to something indirectly. Alluding to her recent health problems, Melanie explained that it wouldn't be a good idea to go on a long hike. Emma alluded to some difficulties at home, but she didn't get into the details. The report alludes to the possibility that elected officials broke the law. Allude, to refer to something indirectly. The word astute means very clever, smart, and perceptive. Ed carefully studies every situation so he can make the most astute decision. Your recommendation turned out to be very astute, so we'd like to hear more advice from you in the future. The advertising campaign showed an astute understanding of its customers. Astute, smart, and perceptive. The word abstruse means deep, hard to understand, or complicated. While exploring the caves near his home, Ted discovered some carvings written in an abstruse language that he'd never seen before. When he brought the writing to the attention of the professor at the local university, the professor was very interested in the discovery of the hidden text. The professor began to explain why these findings were so important, but Ted didn't understand the abstruse theories that the professor was using. Ted knew very little about archaeology, and the professor's specialized knowledge was hard to understand. Another example is, as I leafed through the French literature textbook, I realized how abstruse it was compared to the picture book I had just read. Abstruse, hard to understand, complex. The word aversion means an extreme dislike for something or a strong reaction against something. Pete has a great aversion to flying and doesn't take vacations unless he can drive. Because my dog had such an aversion to the new food we bought her, we wound up throwing it away. After spending a week on a camping trip, Mike developed an aversion to the woods and looked forward to returning home. Aversion, extreme dislike. The word academic means having to do with formal education or with teaching and learning. Chuck was always interested in robotics and looked forward to graduating high school and turning his hobby into a real academic pursuit. Once he was in a university environment, he'd be able to study physics and engineering in great depth and use that knowledge for more serious goals. Chuck expected that an academic environment would suit him very well, and that he'd find professors and other students who shared his interests. However, he also hoped to gain more than just academic knowledge of robotics and move beyond the textbooks to gain real-world experience. Academic, scholarly, bookish. The word affront means to insult or show of disrespect. Sally's refusal to eat her dinner represented an affront to her parents' authority, and they were frustrated with her. I won't stand for affronts to my good name any longer, so I'm going to speak with my lawyer. Though Sandy disagreed with her, Mrs. Lonker did not view that as an affront to her intelligence. Affront, insult, show of disrespect. The word allege means to claim that something is true. The newspaper alleged that the governor had broken the law. After the baseball game, the losing team alleged that the other team had cheated. My wife alleges that I, and not my son, ate the last of the ice cream, but she has no way to prove it. Allege, to claim something is true.
Arrears. The word arrears refers to an overdue debt or being behind in payments or in work. Marcy thought she had paid her water bill last month, but she received a notice in the mail informing her that her account was in arrears and that she would soon be cut off. She was embarrassed that her bill was overdue because she always tried to keep her accounts up to date. She hated being late to anything, and she was certainly upset to realize that she was in arrears for something as important as a water bill. Arrears, an overdue debt. Arrears. The word arrears refers to an overdue debt or being behind in payments or in work. Marcy thought she had paid her water bill last month, but she received a notice in the mail informing her that her account was in arrears and that she would soon be cut off. She was embarrassed that her bill was overdue because she always tried to keep her accounts up to date. She hated being late to anything, and she was certainly upset to realize that she was in arrears for something as important as a water bill. Arrears, an overdue debt.
The word arroyo means a dry creek which fills with water after rain. We haven't seen rain for months, and the arroyos are as dry as bones. The lines on my grandmother's face are like tiny arroyos crossing her cheeks and forehead. The city built a network of arroyos to help increase the water supply during the rainy season. Arroyo, a dry creek which fills with water after rain. The word abound means to exist in great size or large numbers. The stream abounds with salmon, making it a popular spot for people who love to fish. The fields outside town abound with birds and beautiful wildflowers. During the holidays, my parents' house abounds with visitors who drop by to have a drink and enjoy the company. Abound, to exist in large numbers.